Our world is filled with natural wonders. As with other naturalists fueled with curiosity, I've endeavored to understand as much as I can about these wonders. A timeless and invaluable tool that most naturalists use is a journal. A journal not only helps the naturalist to reflect upon his observations, but protects the observations from the human memory, which is notorious for distorting and neglecting details. I am passionate about my studies and love to share with anybody willing to engage. This is why I create and share my nature journal.
There's been a lot going on this week. Lots of new birds coming in, and it's now turkey hunting season. We've heard some turkey hunters in the distance, but we're glad at least that no one's come towards our borders. Ferns are now beginning to sprout. These are the fiddleheads of ostrich ferns. These are those same ostrich ferns a couple of days later. If you're finding fiddleheads at the farmer's market, chances are the ostrich fern is the species. But it's not the only species around the sanctuary. Here's some sensitive fern. And perhaps one of my favorite, the Christmas fern. I particularly enjoy Christmas fern as they begin to unravel. And on a bale of straw in our parking lot, these mushrooms began to sprout. And 2 days later, they looked like this. As of yet, I have still not been able to identify these mushrooms. The highlight of fungus this week, though, goes to this, the cedar apple rust. Some of the red cedars that were planted that had finally outgrown the danger from an assault from the deer are now infected with this fungus. The cedar apple rust requires 2 host trees. Obviously, the apple is the other. These gelatinous orange protrusions hold spores which can be disseminated and spread to apple trees within the radius of a couple miles or so. Next week, I plan to check a lot of the apple trees in the area to see if they've been infected yet. It's said that the infection usually takes place early in the spring, right as the apple trees are beginning to flower. We hope the cedar apple rust doesn't kill our cedars or the apples, but it's hard to be disappointed to see such a cool phenomenon of nature. Breeding season for the birds has begun. The sanctuary is filled with the songs of males claiming a territory and attempting to attract females. That bird was a house wren, and this one is the brown thrasher. The brown thrasher is a mimic. Brown thrashers do not create their own songs, but mimic phrases given by other birds. All morning long, they can be heard singing, rarely repeating a phrase more than once, if at all. Many of the birds we're seeing right now, though, are not here to stay. They're just migrants passing through. Here's a black and white warbler creeping up the tree trunk in search of insects. Black and whites do nest within our region, but as far as I know, have never nested at the sanctuary. If it did, however, we would find the nest low down, either on the ground or in a tree stump in the mature part of our forest. It probably won't breed here, though, because we don't have enough contiguous woodlands. Late one morning, toward the end of our daily bird surveys, Matt spotted a porcupine up in this cottonwood. Matt believes they're more common than most people realize, just very secretive. It makes sense, because I do see them dead in the road fairly frequently. Aside from the quills, I suppose they do utilize the sloth defense. Slow-moving and arboreal, hard to spot. Also, they don't leave a lot of sign that they were ever there in the first place. The following day, I searched for tracks, or scat, or chew marks on the trees, any evidence that it was ever there in the first place, and could not find any. Porcupines are herbivorous, eating mostly grasses and sedges, and the cambium layer of tree bark in the wintertime. And their quills are formidable weapons. If a predator, such as a mountain lion or a fisher, can manage to flip it over and expose the vulnerable belly, it will have a good meal. However, if a predator does get stuck with a quill, it is likely that the wound will become infected and kill that predator. The quills are barbed, which not only makes it hard to remove the quills, but also gets the quills to sink in further as time goes on. The beaver ponds consistently render some of the finest surprises. Here's a pair of wood ducks we were not expecting. Unfortunately, the surprises are not always welcome. Here's Roddy having his breakfast. But unfortunately, Lydia's not where she should be, on her nest. Sure enough, the nest had been depredated. The culprit could have been any number of suspects. Raccoon, fox, mink, it's hard to say. All we know is that there were broken eggshells all over the nest site. It's still early enough in the season that perhaps they'll attempt to nest again. I guess the silver lining is that somebody got a good meal, including the snails that came in to clean up the leftovers. Other news around the beaver pond is not so glum. Right here, beavers are damming and excavating the area around a seep, creating a whole new pond. Furthermore, they are controlling the invasive Phragmites. It appears that they are eating the roots and dragging the stalks back to their ponds, probably to line the lodge. The beavers have not been showing up for their meals during regular work hours, so we came in a few evenings. It was a good excuse to bring the family in for some quality time together. Even when the beavers did come out, though, they were pretty picky.
Potato. Did you want salt?
Butter.
She forgot the butter.
Come on, beaver. Even when the beavers don't show up, there's always an interesting show at the beaver ponds. This time, the muskrats were performing.
Totally why he was squeaking.
Should we teach them no means no?
Oh,
There's a vole.
yep, you're right. That's a southern redback vole.
I didn't catch the red-backed vole, but here's a meadow vole. There's been a lot of activity over at Wick's Pond this week. The whirligigs, for one, seem to be proliferating. Green frogs can be seen swimming through the middle of the pond. But they'd better be wary of the snapping turtle. As should all of the minnows and tadpoles. The main attraction right now are the breeding American toads. The females are waiting silently, listening as the males serenade them. The song of the toad travels far and can be heard day and night for several days in a row. It is said that the males have darker throats than the females, which I don't think is always true, but in this case, it seems to be. Typically, the males are also significantly smaller than the females. The male will hop onto the female's back and fertilize the eggs as she lays them. She'll lay long strands of eggs, somewhat resembling black beaded necklaces. The male must have a tight grip. It almost seems as if she's trying to get away, but I'm not sure. It could just be that she's attaching her eggs to underwater vegetation in various places. Either way, she takes him for a ride. But I'm not the only one attracted to the chorus of toads. Here's a hungry mink, and Anurans are on the menu. Looks like you got one. Our mission at Spring Farm Cares Nature Sanctuary is to protect wildlife and enhance habitat around central New York. We thank everybody for supporting us, and if anyone has any questions, comments, would like to learn more, or schedule a tour with us, please check out our website or find us on Facebook.